Cranberries. Hello there, and welcome. Walking outside and looking into sky creates feeling of having a fresh breath. Breath which gives some feeling of respite. Breath which invigorates for things to come. Sometimes walking out of own cubicle space, be it literal, as apartment, room or some other kind dwelling space, or metaphorical one, as own mind, thoughts, feelings of that space or any kind of good or bad fantasy one, can help restart your brain to think clearly, even if it's something to do with phenomenon known as dooreffect, that brain kind of restarts in each room with thoughts, feelings and memories which are related to that place, or just going outside to touch some grass. Sometimes it gives that effect, sometimes it doesn't, because of how much bundled up feelings are. There can be walks in forest for relaxation, and there can be angry venting off like walk to sort thoughts out. It is nice to have place to retreat from my own thoughts from time to time, and it is nice to have that same place just to enjoy walk itself as a gratitude that things went just well. But before that, I will shortly show disclaimer that this story is only mine perception and not in any way profession advice or something. You can skim it through, but you already knew if you had watched some of other videos of mine. Please stay safe and be okay, not because of our pleas, but because of our glees. There was a time when I was pretty meany angry all the time, and I didn't understood why. I could almost cry why I was something like that. It's not like it is something bad by any means. Anger is part of natural body responses, and it is necessary for engagement into more active actions, which create some sort of motion towards something B. It's something like as getting rid of obstacles, getting rid of threat, getting things done as actual done, not some meek-like done, standing your own ground and etc. But when anger is built up, it can cause unplanned outbursts, be it either hurting own body, electronic appliances, or other random inanimated objects, loved ones, getting into unnecessary fights or heated discussions, etc. Or just building up so much and not releasing it at all, if it's even possible, that body itself cripples itself in manner of time by having high blood pressure as a normal one, having more fragile joints, because suppressing anger itself, energy has nowhere to go, and it's always kept in order not to move further, and in the result joints are hurted by most of regular actions and by multiple action-related nullification signals. Having bigger irritation, because muscles are always tensed up without any movement of any kind venting out, shorter concentration capacity, because brain itself have too much stimulus from previous rage feelings, and there is not enough calming hormones to give triggers to calm and relax body, physically and emotionally, and probably there is something more, but with things which were already mentioned, kind of ruins capability to be to something like normal person. In previous videos, I mentioned as example that there are remedies for anger, but I preferred mind tricks over them, because my free time is for enjoyment, not for yoga practices or something else, which in cubicle space leaves less space for things I like. Oh, actually I didn't mention that I really like to vent out anger or just pent up regular stress by doing something like cleaning dishes, that bubbly water with soap really calms down spirit and soul. Indeed, and just cleaning room, it somehow helps to sort out mind and not to think about anything, or just going into walks in near forest, where I can enjoy own detachment form cubicle space, have free thinking space to so to speak clear mind, or just sort it out by self-reflecting monologues. Why monologues, you could ask? Because partly it is related to shadow working and self-programming practices, which in certain time of my teenager, young adult and adult ages, I had my own reasons to talk things out with myself. I did practice some diary things, but my hands were really tired after half-hour to hour and longer self-reflectionary diary talks. First it wasn't like that, but it became a tad addicting to do that. But it kind of became a chore, especially when I was already tired from writing notes in school and studies. So, simple solution was to just from time to time talk to myself. Why did I act in one or another manner? Even if I didn't get some answers, still it was nice to talk out things as they were. Why, would you ask? From some previous videos, I mentioned that brain don't really recognize reality from imagination. If you are afraid, you are afraid. Body reacts in same manner, be it imaginary or actual reason to be afraid. On side note, I can mention that I have heard some advice in my active study time that people should reward themselves with finished tasks, even if they are adults. Idea was to manually stimulate our own dopamine levels to be less codependent on other people's positive or negative feedbacks of something which has been done before. This creates situation that we are letting ourselves to feel good by receiving some reward about some done work. Similarly, as parent bought us ice cream, without need for other people's feedbacks, recognitions, or any kind of responses. In study time, it was really important, and it is still important to recognize any tasks which are done with some kind of degree positive feedback from ourselves. Because in study period tasks are pretty long, and nobody can really evaluate anything, and dopamine feedbacks are really scarce to degree that person would and could give up if there is not some encouragement that things are just okay and things can be finished on time. There comes that unfortunate elephant issue that things should split into smaller things, because it is easier for human brain to handle those. And if you receive only one slightly good feedback about 4-month written graduation thesis for proceeding to next grade level or graduation itself, it is a bit lacking in necessary dopamine feed for brain. 4 months are pretty long time for human brain to wait that necessary feedback that we are actually doing something right manner and are actually finishing that. You can do one task 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, and depending on own psychological and mental fortitude, by that time that one task seems somewhat undoable or tedious or somewhat unfulfilling. That's why there should be created multiple minor milestone-like tasks, which gradually can lead to finishing that big one. And for each minor task fulfilled, there should be some promise about reward, an actual reward, that body and brain itself can feel that task is doable. There are nice rewards, even they could be just candy, short walks, some nice garment from shop, some promised by me watching, etc. Keeping things simple and nothing extraordinary, because student or cubicle worker can't really afford too much either financially or either time-related freedom itself. Body actually is pretty simple, and person can feel much better just by having regular simple enjoyments, as long as it doesn't hinder study or work progress. I haven't really mentioned perception in my teenage years, because remembering myself, there was no way to manage my own space to be more practical for myself. What I painstakingly developed being actual university student and cubicle worker. As a teen, I just somehow get through things, not saying that there is nothing to be done about personal space and values. But to some minor degree, there could be developed some kind of self-management. But at those ages, brain itself is still developing to adults, so pretty much everything can go haywire, but it can depend on person from person. But mostly when I look back at myself as one of those goody shoes, I was still really irresponsible with my decision making. Can't really blame myself, but it still gives some time to think. Why I was like how I was at that period of time. Returning from sidetrack, I mentioned that I prefer doing walks in forest with self-reflectionary monologues. That approach stems from self-development practices to keep yourself together and understand better about one or another bottled up feeling or tension. Talking out loud own thoughts can help with 2 things at same time. Brain needs to talk out things, so I talk. Brain needs some confirmation that actually somebody is listening to that. I am listening. It creates feeling of belonging somewhere. It creates feeling of being actually listened by somebody, even if that somebody is same person, which is me. As already, it was mentioned before, brain does not recognize what is real and what is not. It only understands that I talked out and somebody listened to them. I have my own reasons to things like that. For example, I somehow get better idea what's happening if I hear what thoughts and feelings I have. Sounds a little ridiculous, but feeling things cannot really help to solve anything if you don't have real logical grasp of what is happening, why this or that feeling is so turbulent and is constantly reminding of its presence, why suddenly there is moment that other people seem so unbearably annoying that I even could consider self-harm or harming others, which could start as playful gesture of feeling like that, because humans like to have fun about these things, as passive venting of stressful feelings. But in same time, when it gradually builds up that you want it or not, but can only think about actually bashing own head or someone else's against some furniture or just wall. So to solve this from escalating further, you just talk out with yourself what the deal is about. Yes, it is a little exaggerated example how I have experienced those things, but idea stays the same even if it is not so aggressive, but is somewhat, so to speak, pressing down to ground with some kind of emotional gravity. Fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, and so on, until it is already pattern of self-obligation, to force to be ready for forward-coming things and not having anything to step back and take breath. Nobody notices that until there's something happens, and upsy daisies, that one person was suddenly so impolite and unfriendly. For example, there can be situation that somewhat going from one task to another task, or going from one meeting to another, be it colleagues or relatives, somehow you can forget to take break, because situations come and go like some sort of hamster wheel, and somehow you can forget in that process itself that you have not had some time for yourself as just yourself, having video game time, having daydreaming time, having time for hypothetical privacy, having time just being and not caring about things, having anything at all no matter how weird and personal it is. And somehow there is pent-up feeling about something. But what it is, this something, how it appears, it is just feeling that for some time there needs to be self-sacrifice of own personal interests. That time is not set, but by feeling you could do just fine for some time, even if you are not sure. But when one occasion, which asks to reject own personal time, ends suddenly, there is another one. Okay, I could just clench my lower back cheeks and endure some more, because it is not polite to say no, or reject some other people planned gatherings, events, or something else. Third time is so, I might can do it, but dang frustrations is real. Body feels so jumpy, somewhat stiff, not wanting to do anything. Even relaxation seems like a chore or forced activity. What's happening? And then other people want to reject that particular person's presence partly, could say that, I don't know, I don't feel like meeting them, to fully, could say that, I definitely don't want that person in my wedding or birthday, or something similar. Yes, it goes and can go both ways. That social relationships are two-way roads. But usually, if not mostly, people tend to make judgments for the result, when already person is in one way or another way, unhinged from long-term self-restraint, doing many obligations, one after another, and not developing some strategies to have some space to recuperate. We politely say that person, no, don't do that. But now, how they can actually follow this simple don't do that when they already have tension, which is built up by years of don't can't. This is not allowed. This is not professional. You can't say that. You can't act like that. Are you out of mind? Think about others. What would your mother or father think about that, what you did, etc. That again was a little vivid example. And yes, people can use psychology consultations, but psychology consultation sessions are quite expensive. Not all could afford them by money, or just time-wise or energy-wise. And they can help many, not everyone, because of how everything is made more complicated than it should be of everything what we do and is supposedly recognized to be only right thing to do. And finding your own real psychology can take time, effort, money, and everything else. What is necessary to just test out waters, how it can go, and still just being in process. It seems this is it for now, and I will continue in next video. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it finds you well. If you fancy it well, please like and subscribe it as I must you tell. Goodbyes for now.